Oh, there it is. There it is. The my long lost old friend, the webcam, the camera. Hello, if anyone is watching this. Um, I'm just sitting here, and it's been on my mind that I would like to get back into doing this, which I know I've said that in the past years. Watching some videos about companion planting, which, if you are into gardening or farming, that is not a new term. But I was trying to learn some new things about companion planting, some hacks, if you will, because sometimes that topic can feel a little confusing. And I was like, that right now. But um, anyway, there is so much that has changed since the last time I don't even remember when the last time I got on here was. I know sometime in 2020, maybe the beginning of 2021. I don't know. And after that, I don't remember if I've made a single video on here. Recently, like took down a bunch of the old videos from like Atlanta or from a new base. If I'm gonna do anything on here at all, because Lord knows life is really different. But anyway, I live in a camper now, so that's classy. Just upgrading like nobody's business from the van life days. I know the title of this is says something about being in a van down by the river. That's not actually true. It's just what I thought of when I was typing the title. Um, it doesn't matter. So I might as well be in a van down by the river, but I'm in like a decent camper, not a shithole. In a couple years, this thing might be a shithole. And I'm not down by a river, but I am right next to a pond, like 25 feet from a significant pond, depending on how much it's rained. Sometimes I'm closer to the pond. And if it's been actually 2 weeks since it's rained, then the pond's a little further away. And additionally, there's a creek on the other side of the pond that the pond drains into. Uh, Useless information. If I keep doing this, I'll show you guys photos soon because it's a good time. I'm really enjoying it out here after many weeks of trials and tribulations, and they are not over. But man, I am glad that we are past the initial ones. I'm getting really settled in here and finding my groove, and um, I grow stuff now for my job, and it's exciting. And more than exciting, fine. Like, I feel good at the end of my workday. I feel good during my workday, and that is like, I can't tell you how rewarding that is after trying to fit myself to jobs and situations that were much less ideal. And even this is not perfectly ideal, but like massive upgrades insofar as like what is good for me and the kind of person I am. I suppose part of me thinks that like this kind of work, excuse me, and aspects of the work I'm doing are really best for everybody. But like I digress, and I'm not gonna do the thing where I act like I know it's right for everybody. Um, but in terms of like principles about what is good for a human body and mind and soul, period. I'm like, well, of course this is better than like the majority of what most people are doing. I don't know why my nose always itches. Um, but yeah, and it's not like I in a lot of ways where I worked before, I really loved because I loved the people I was with, and I loved the nature of uh, the job was centered around music and music education, but that's not what my job was about. If you know what I'm saying, like what's being sold to the customers is like the customers are having the experience of music. And when I'm not doing my job at work and, you know, we're fucking off like us, the employees and whatever, you know, not actually doing what we're supposed to be doing on the clock, like that's about music. But my actual job was about billing and was about compensating for corporate requests that aren't actually practical, um, on the floor, uh, like in store and on site and stuff like that. And it was a billing job and like I don't know, dealing with all this stuff that is a massive headache at the end of the day and all during the day. And you're having to sit in this artificial environment. By that I mean indoors behind computer screens under artificial lighting, uh, day in and day out. And if you just focus on the things that are better about that job than other jobs, then you never get honest with yourself about what's really not serving you or if you're really not happy there. And you can kind of buzzword of the last 5 years or whatever, 3 years, like you can kind of gaslight yourself into thinking, like, I should be happy here and this is great because maybe you had a really shitty job before that or something. And I don't know, it was definitely a struggle to just be like, despite some of the things that are really great about this, there are things that I really hate, and like I can't have both of those. Or well, I can't ignore these ones, like the ones I hate, just because of the ones I love. Like it's not enough to make up for it. Way. So I got a really I feel incredibly fortunate to have the opportunity I have right now. And, you know, it's not for everybody, but for me, I was like, yeah, this is for me. So I am living out in the country. I'm like outside of the proper city and about to just contend with hella bugs on a daily basis. And yeah, I live in this camper now. I have like a rent to own situation with this camper. And so my rent and my expenses are brought down a whole lot. I'm back plugged in the farmer's market scene. I'm learning to grow all this stuff, everything from edible flowers to vegetables to fruit trees. And it is entirely too much, but it's the kind of too much that I am more than happy to take on. And I'm loving it. There's like an aquaponic component of the farm. There, like we're doing kind of different permaculture designs and principles that we're um, employing in the farm design. It's just I mean, the property's technically like just over 10 acres where we are, but right now we're not even utilizing like half of that land because the majority of it, aside from like the ponds taking up some of that acreage, is like heavily wooded. It's on the other side of a creek. Like there's kind of a swamp. It's it's a little complicated. But that's exciting because we have all this mixed terrain. Like we have a big long open field for like row crops. And then we have um basically a lot of yard space that has a gradient to work with and different shade pockets so we can grow a whole variety of things like kind of making what's called a guild around, you know, basing those around all the fruit trees we've planted. um, and that's why at least in the past 5 months or however long I've been doing this now, I have been radio silent on this platform at least. uh, uh, I feel like I have something to really like come on here with again and be like, this is what's up. I feel like I've made it through that last, uh, I don't know, whatever segment of my life where I was really trying to break through to my next kind of level and season of life. And this is definitely it. And it's like now that I'm doing this, I don't know, it was like before I mean, I was getting kind of close to something like this when I just have my own business that I had started during the pandemic, like making my own baked goods and other products to sell at a farmer's market. But I really felt compelled to incorporate more foraged stuff, which I was trying to do, but man, it's time consuming. And I also wanted to really shift to growing my own herbs, growing a lot of my own stuff to sell, like in the products that I make, to use in the products I make that then I sell. Or at least like sourcing them from local growers within the state or like 100-mile radius, something to that effect. Um, I just, I don't know, that's what I really wanted to move toward. And so now I'm getting all this boots on the ground experience, learning to grow. Like I said, entirely too many things, but it's like all stuff I want to be doing. And I was trying to squeeze in these sorts of things in addition to a 40-hour work week at my last job, um, which doesn't go very well. I mean, you can only get so much done without making massive sacrifices in other areas of your life, either like how much you're sleeping or like having a social life at all, or I don't know, it's a whole work life balance thing, I suppose. But anyway, I'm a lot more content with this, even though it feels much more difficult to work a full 40 hours during the week doing the farm work because Lord knows it's rough. Like it is taxing, and especially like as it's getting hotter, like I don't know, we are figuring all of this out kind of like on an hour by hour basis cuz just having to work with what we've got, kind of whatever. Anyhow, I'm not going to like go on forever about this today, but this is just a short update for now. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to just include right away. I don't know. There's a million things I could talk about, and I'm like, I don't know if I should talk about it right now. I just don't know if I want to get into it. I have like literally one bite of my dinner left. I thought like I'll eat while I do this live stream, and then trying to set up the live stream, it was like I can't even. I don't know. I can't talk and eat at the same time. Apparently, that still holds true. So, let me see. Wild things. Yes, it's very fun. Um, the whole thing that made me think of doing this live stream right now, while I was watching the companion planning videos a moment ago, I'm eating my food and I'm thinking about how companion planning is really just learning the nature of certain groups of plants, the types of things that those plants need, the types of functions that those plants provide, and then arranging your gardens accordingly. And there are, you know, simplistic formulas to help you kind of not feel so like overwhelmed by all the options. Um, and as I was watching this video and kind of getting a better idea about how to approach companion planning, I had this epiphany, as you do, about it's kind of like learning to intuitively eat in a healthy way, where, like for myself, I went through, and I've talked about this a lot on my channel back in the day, like I went through years of disordered eating in my late teens, early 20s. But kind of through that, I was learning how to listen to like getting out of that, I was learning how to listen to my body, being like, okay, I've got these cravings for ice cream. What does that mean? Oh, I just need calories. I haven't eaten enough today. And I learned to plan kind of intuitively, have learned how to put my meals together in a way that nutritionally makes sense and like checks the boxes that are necessary for having a really like nutritious, nutrient filled day. um but I'm not thinking about all those numbers and details and calculating anything anymore. Like I don't burn a single calorie thinking about calories anymore. Like all that shit is dialed in, and like intuitively I know what's going to feel good and what's going to be good for me. And so it's not like this tug of war sense all the time, like, oh, I want to eat this, but I should eat this. And it's like, there's none of that. Like, I eat what I want and everything's okay. And I feel fine later. And like, there's not an anxiety component. And it's great. And sometimes I forget what it was like to live in constant anxiety about food and confusion. But the point of all that is that I was thinking about the meal I'm eating tonight. And I was like, this has got like pasture raised ground beef in it. I added black beans because like there's like that starch and like really high fiber component where you're not getting any fiber if you're just having meat or dairy or animal products in general. And then I picked some leaves off the kohlrabi that I'm growing outside. So I got like those awesome, dark greens in the meal. And then there was like a black rice and sweet potato thing I made in the Instapot the other day. So I grabbed a big scoop of that, top it in like half an avocado, and eating it with these corn chips. I'm like scooping it all out, whatever. Corn chips are like, nobody cares. They're not fried. So whatever. I don't need a ton of those, but like once in a while, it's like a treat if I'm like, man, it'd be nice to have chips. This is way better than getting normal chips. But yeah, it's like putting together a meal like that. It's like I'm getting all these being the diversity component for my body or whatever. And I was like, oh, like here's my cat trying to. He's like, you missed a spot. Come here. And I was like, planting will become like how putting a meal together is for me now. And once like I had that kind of analogy crop up for me, crop puns, whatever. I was like, oh, it helped me kind of calm down about like feeling stressed about all the companion planning options. I was like, oh, this is a thing that I'll learn. It'll take a little time. And then after a while, some part of it will sort of be on autopilot. So that's the one piece of advice I have today. And now I'm going to get off of here soon. Yeah. So, that's what's up. I've got actual footage of the farm. Maybe I'll do some before and after stuff because it did not look like a whole lot out here when I moved here 5 months ago. Some of that's because it was in the dead of winter. Well, okay, so I started working out here like 5 months ago, but I technically moved out here like the first week of February, in the middle of an ice storm. Not a nice storm, an ice storm. Let me enunciate. Yeah, yeah. I don't recommend it. I didn't even have the heat working in here. It's just like the cat. I don't know. Like it's just so many things. So many things. All right, I'm gonna go because I just lost my train of thought and I need to clean up after dinner and go back to sleep like Mr. Jackson recommended for all of us. All right. Peace, love. Whatever I say at the end of these videos. I don't even remember. Bye.